Hello, my name is Daniel Aiken, and this is my midterm video essay for Professor Kreitman's introduction course on Japanese civilization. I've been fortunate enough to travel with my family to a considerable number of places over the years. And in fact, in January of 2020, before COVID-19 became a pandemic, my family flew to Tokyo over winter vacation, and we eventually made our way to Osaka, Kyoto, Hiroshima, and back up to Matsumoto, as well as to several places in between. Japan is by far my favorite country that I've ever visited for reasons I simply do not have time to discuss in this video, but I keep coming back to one particular memory, a day trip from Kyoto Station to Nara Park. Specifically, I remember staring in absolute awe at the UNESCO World Heritage Site of the Todaji Temple and the enormous statue of the Great Buddha, which is the best known daibutsu in Japan. Considering the strength of this memory, as well as the abundance of, albeit poorly shot photos that I took on this day trip, I couldn't help but use this video essay as an opportunity to research and present upon this important historical artifact, the daibutsu in the Great Buddha Hall of the Todaji. It seems pertinent to start out with some background regarding the Todaji Temple and the milieu that led to its construction. When completed in the 740s, the Todaji, or the Great Eastern Temple, was the largest building project ever on Japanese soil. Its creation reflects the complex intermingling of Buddhism and politics in early Japan, which is the primary theme or thread that runs through this video essay. Around the 7th century, some Japanese rulers began to make attempts to build centralized states based on the Chinese model, replacing indirect feudal or quasi-feudal systems of rule with direct administration. This included efforts to, for example, standardize the tax code, introduce bureaucracy with an exam system, and even redistribute land. Spatially, moreover, the political centralization manifested in the establishment of imperial capitals, once again on the Chinese model. These sort of political epicenters served not only to consolidate the elites in one place in order to keep an eye on them, but also to inspire awe by displaying the extent of the emperor's power and ability to build at such a grand scale. Reflecting on my own 21st century astonishment regarding the Buddha at Todaji, I cannot imagine how these elites in the 7th century would have reacted to entire capital cities that had wide avenues and showcased grandiose parades. Eventually, in 796, a city was established at what is now known as Kyoto, and this would remain the imperial capital for over 100 years. However, with regards to the Todaji Temple, we're getting ahead of ourselves by about 60 years. To understand the precipitating events that led to its construction, we must now turn to the religion of Buddhism in Japan. Buddhism has its origins in India about 2,600 years ago. The first attempts to introduce Buddhism to Japan began in the 6th century, when the Soga clan of Korean lineage invited some nuns from Korea to come and proselytize the faith at the Japanese capital at the time. By the time of the Nara period, which ran from 710 to 794, virtually all elite Japanese began to subscribe to Buddhism in one form or another. In fact, the Nara court itself constructed an elaborate Buddhist theocracy on top of the Chinese-style administrative bureaucracy that has already been discussed. In other words, as Buddhism's influence grew during the reign of Emperor Shomu and his consort, Empress Komyo, Buddhist doctrine was fused with political policy. In the early 700s, it was certainly difficult to establish a new capital city at Nara and convince powerful people to move there. Emperor Shomu's motives to eventually build the Todaji then seem to have been a mix of spiritual and pragmatic. In order to unite various Japanese clans under his centralized rule, he promoted spiritual unity under Buddhism. In order to impress the elite, he sponsored the building of monumental temples and grand Buddhist statues that would display the power, prestige, and piety of the Imperial House of Japan. At the center of Nara's theocratic order, then, was the Todaji and its daibutsu. In 741, Shomu ordered temples, monasteries, and convents to be built throughout Japan's 66 provinces. This national system or network of monasteries, known as the Kokubunji, would be centered around the new imperial Todaji, which served as its hub. The Todaji temple was then built on the outskirts of the capital city of Nara between 728 and 752, and its construction brought together the best craftspeople in Japan with the latest building technology. The Todaji included the usual components of a Buddhist complex. So, at its symbolic heart was the massive Hondo, or main hall, also called the Daibutsuden, or Great Buddha Hall, and the Daibutsuden held this huge bronze Buddha figure, which was created between 743 and 752. Apparently, this colossal Buddha required all the available copper in Japan, exhausting the realm's supply of bronze. According to Dr. Deanna MacDonald, it was completed in 749, though the snail curl hair, one of the 32 signs of the Buddha's divinity, took an additional 2 years to finish. The Daibutsu sits upon a bronze lotus petal pedestal that is engraved with images of various bodhisattvas, or sacred beings. The petal surfaces are etched with figures with swirling drapery, in a style that is typical of the elegant naturalism of the Nara era imagery. Unfortunately, these petals are the only reminders of the original statue, which was destroyed by fire in the 12th century. During the Genpei Civil War, which occurred between 1180 and 1185, countless temples were destroyed as the Buddhist clergy took sides in clan warfare. The Todaiji temple sided with the eventually victorious Minamoto clan. However, it was burned by the soon-to-be-defeated Taira clan in 1180. At the end of the Civil War, the reconstruction of Todaiji was one of the first projects undertaken by the new ruling shogun Minamoto Yoritomo. So, once again, the Todaiji became the largest building project in Japan. Builders had to travel hundreds of kilometers from Kinai to find suitable wood. However, because quality local wood was scarce, Todaiji's reconstructed main hall was only about half the size of the original. Additionally, with new builders, carpenters, and sculptors being commissioned in the rebuilding process, the Kei school of sculpture emerged, resulting in various dynamic and muscular warrior figures that cannot be found within the Daibutsuren. The original project of the Todaiji was certainly not without its critics and controversies, as every person in Japan was required to contribute through a special tax for its construction. However, this giant statue of the Vairocana Buddha housing the Great Todaiji Temple fundamentally symbolizes the theocratic union between the Nara court and Buddhism. Emperor Shomu, for both politically pragmatic and spiritually devotional reasons, wanted the entire land to be joined in the fellowship of Buddhism. The Todaiji Temple serves as the hub of such an endeavor. Thank you for reminiscing with me regarding my trip to Japan, which occurred now over a year ago. I really enjoyed researching more about the Todaiji Temple and its origins, and I hope you learned something throughout this video.